Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much. I apologize for the delay. We're happy to have you here at our Cooking with Chef Kent event. Thank you for those online and those of you who are joining us in person. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us. We're really excited to get this started. Before we get started, I just want to tell you about an event that we have on Saturday. I will be tabling along with a couple other staff members at Sparky's Touchdown Tailgate at our Tempe campus off of 6th Street and College Avenue. So that's where our booth will be. It's a family-friendly event. If you want to go ahead and bring your family and friends, there'll be live music, entertainment, food and beverages to purchase. So come out and say hi. I also want to thank all the staff and faculty who are here helping us put on this event. And so I do appreciate everyone who stopped by, including our professors, Jessica Lehman, Kathy Dixon, apologies, Samina in a bit. Maureen McCoy, I'm looking for them. Thank you so much for taking the time. And now, so I don't take any more time, I'm going to turn it over to our clinical professor, Samine Levinson, and Chef Kent to get you started on our cooking event. Thank you.
Well, welcome everyone to our kitchen. Thank you for coming to the College of Health Solutions cooking demo. We're going to have a really fun time today. If you're joining us from home, thank you very much. Hopefully you have your recipe, and I hope that you can follow along with us. If you're here with us in person, congratulations. Thank you so much for coming down. You're going to have a great experience. You're going to have some fun cooking food, but instead of like cooking at home, where you have to do all the hard work when you cook with me here, it's only the fun stuff. Everything is already measured out for you. The hardest thing you're going to do today is measure out a little bit of water. So I feel very confident that all of you can do that. But if you do need any help, just raise your hands, and I have lots of people that come around that definitely will help you with that. Joining me is my lovely helper, Ms. Samine Levinson.
Hi, everybody. I'm so thrilled to be with you here today. I love this recipe. It is fun to make. It's easy. And I'm excited to be here with Chef Kent to serve as his assistant and just kind of talk through the recipe and while we all make it together.
All right, guys. Well, let's get right into it. We're going to do 3 different things today. We're going to make some rice, we're going to make meatballs, and then we're going to make a sauce. Now, anytime we're cooking, we need to think a little bit about how long it takes to cook the food. Now, we have 3 things here. Of those 3 things, the rice definitely takes the longest. So we're going to start with the rice first. If you come over to your stove, you should have a medium-sized pot at your stove. You're going to take it, and we're going to turn this on nice and high. We want a very high flame because we're going to try to boil some water. Now, we're going to take 1 can of coconut milk, an entire can, and dump it right into that water.
Chef, does it matter if we use coconut cream, coconut milk? I see sometimes like low-fat coconut milk.
So that's a great question. So all of these different coconut milks have a different fat consistency in it. I like the heavier fat consistency. So we're using whole fat now. If you're trying to limit the calories, but you still want that flavor, it is totally fine to reduce it down a little bit. Use one of the lighter coconut milks. But for me, I believe in moderation. I like full flavor and moderation. So we're just going to have our full fat milk today.
Okay, I see some of our guests are opening up their cans of coconut milk, and you can go ahead and put it right into the pot.
Now, it's not going to be quite enough coconut milk. We are going to supplement with a little bit of water. If you check your recipes, we need 3/4 of a cup of water. So I'm just going to put that right there in the coconut milk with it. And I like to put just a little bit of salt, pepper there too.
All right. Okay, they're still opening their cans.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Right. So this is just going to sit on the stove. It's going to heat up. Before I add my rice, I really want this to come to a full boil. It needs to be at a simmer. I want to see those bubbles coming in.
And I'll say there's one trick that I've learned over the years when I use coconut milk that has a lot of fat in it, is the fat will go to the top. So if you give it a good shake before you open, it'll kind of mix it up and make it easier for it to pour out. And the additional quantity.
Feels like everyone's doing a great job. They're getting on their way. Now, the next very important thing we all need to do is I think it is very important to wash your rice. I always rinse my rice off. So you should all have a nice bowl of a cup and a half of rice. We want to get this nice and wet. And we're going to try to rinse all of that yeasty, kind of sticky starch off of this rice.
So when we rinse the rice, then it removes some of the starch, so when we cook the rice, it can be a little bit fluffier. Is that the point for rinsing it?
Yes. So if you can see in the camera, there's so much starch inside that rice. It's almost milky looking. I want to try to get as much of that off. Sometimes I rinse it once, 2, 3 times. I'm going to keep rinsing.
And Chef, there are so many varieties of rice out there. Does it matter what type of rice we use for this recipe?
So for this one, we are doing a very traditional jasmine rice, but most rices cook about the same. It's going to be the same ratio of water or stock to our rice. So basmati works great, a long grain works great, short grain will work even quite well too.
And what about using brown rice? Is that an option?
So I chose not to use brown rice for this recipe, just because it takes a little bit longer to cook. I want to have a quick, fast, easy recipe today. So I did choose a white rice just for the cooking time. But brown rice is a great, great alternative. It has a little bit more fiber in it.
So would you say if you were gonna use brown rice, maybe give yourself an extra 30 minutes?
Yeah, I would say, 20 to 30 minutes, just take a little bit longer. So now I have my rice, nice and rinsed off. How are my in-person people doing? Great, okay. So I'm almost to a simmer. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my rice, add it down in there. Now, the thing with cooking rice is we have to be patient with our rice. Okay, once we get our rice started, we don't want to open the lid. We don't want to mess with it. We definitely don't want to stir our rice. You have to have faith that your ratio is correct. I'm going to give it one stir. Put my lid on, reduce my heat down to a simmer. And we're going to start letting our rice cook.
And how long will that rice take to cook?
Typically, rice takes about 20 minutes to cook. Now, if you have a little bit of extra time, I prefer to cook my rice for 20 minutes, then take it off the heat and just let it sit there and kind of steam, and it gets a little bit fluffier. I prefer that myself. But if we're in a time crunch, we're trying to get to class really fast, we can cut that time down a little bit too.
So if we really wanted to save some time, we could probably even get some of those microwave ready to eat rice packs, right?
Yes, of course, those are ready in 90 seconds. And I've used that in a pinch myself too. Same rice, it's partially cooked.
Yeah.
There's also partially cooked rice, parboiled rice, which cooks even faster, cooks in about 5 to 10 minutes. So people often think rice is a long, laborious process. It's just a little bit of. All right, now it looks like everyone's doing great with their rice. All right, we're gonna move on to our next dish. Okay. Now, this one, it will definitely help you to work in teams. Everyone has some lean chicken at their station. Now, chicken is a great source of protein. Tell them a little bit more about.
Sure, absolutely. So chicken, and I think this is ground chicken. And it's a great source of protein. It's usually leaner than certain kinds of other ground meats like ground pork. But you can also use other ground meats like ground turkey, a lean ground beef, ground pork. But I think traditionally chicken is used in this sweet chili chicken meatball recipe.
Right. So you guys ready to make some meatballs with me? All right. So I'm gonna put some gloves on just because I don't want chicken all over my hands. But this is gonna be a very, very easy meatball recipe. we're gonna take our ground chicken and I'm gonna add 1 egg. Now, if you've ever cracked an egg and had eggshells all inside, there's an easier way to do it. Always try to crack your egg on a flat surface. Then it's usually much, much easier to go in there.
That's an excellent pro tip. I can't tell you how many times I've cracked the egg on the edge of the bowl and half of the shell goes right into the bowl.
Now, we have 2 seasonings we're gonna add. We have some powdered ginger and we have some powdered garlic. Now, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes I like using powdered ingredients, sometimes I like using fresh, and it really depends on the process and what I'm cooking. For these meatballs, I like to use a powdered ingredient because I feel like those flavors work through those meatballs a little bit better. If I use fresh garlic, I would have little chunks of garlic through with my meatballs, and I don't really love biting into that. I really have kind of a fullness of flavor.
So let me ask you something. What if somebody is a vegetarian? Are there some vegetarian options that we could do in place of like chicken or pork or beef?
So we've done lots of different fun things here at ASU. We've made dishes with Beyond Meats before. We've also used tofu in a same time manner, just kind of crumble it up and make meatballs with that too. There's lots of great alternatives, but Beyond Meat's probably the closest.
Okay. I think that's a great option. And if somebody is vegan and they don't want to use eggs, how do they get it to bind together?
So my favorite substitution for eggs is egg replacer. I use that quite a bit. Bob's Red Mill makes a great egg replacer and it binds up very, very well too. So if you are vegan, that is one of my favorite alternatives.
That's great. I think I've also read that you can use ground flaxseed with a little water, and that also adds some essential fatty acids and fiber too. So I love that there are so many options and ways of creating this recipe.
All right, so we have our seasoning in. Now we do need to add a little bit of salt and pepper. And the last thing we add are our breadcrumbs. Now today we are using panko breadcrumbs. And this is a Japanese style breadcrumb. It's very similar to a traditional breadcrumb we would use in America, kind of an Italian style, but it doesn't have as much seasoning in there and it's not toasted nearly as much. I find that Italian breadcrumbs add their own flavor to the dish, and I really want the chicken to speak in this.
Chef, let's turn our rice down.
Okay.
I can see it bubbling over. Pay attention to your rice to make sure it doesn't bubble over. We probably could have used the bigger pan, but this one will work just fine.
We'll get there.
So how big do you make the meatballs?
So we're gonna shoot for golf ball size on our meatballs. Golf ball size meatballs should get us about 12.
What I love about this is that you can involve the whole family, your friends, your roommates. There's something for everybody to do, whether it's rinsing the rice, making the meatballs, chopping the vegetables. So it could be fun for everyone in the kitchen. We're all having fun here today.
All right, guys. Now we got to do a little bit of the dirty part. We're going to use our hands and just form nice little meatballs. I like to toss them back and forth between my palms and just form nice little meatballs. We're shooting for about golf ball size. Just patting them down. I also have a spoon. If you prefer to do a spoon, you can do a nice little scoop with that.
I think I've also used like what do you call those cookie spoon scoopers, right? Like little scoopers.
Looks like everyone's doing a good job with their meatballs.
Well, I am so excited for this recipe, and I do have a friend who's vegan, and so I think she's gonna make it with tofu and some of the egg replacer.
All right, how are my students doing? Are we making our meatballs? How's our alumni doing? Get in there. Excellent.
Oh, it looks good in here.
Whoa.
Turn it on low.
It's
It is on. It's about as low as it's gonna go.
All right, so we're almost through with our meatballs.
Yeah, we're on low. I think we're gonna be okay. Yeah, our rice is getting there. We've got our great looking meatballs.
Right.
Okay, I'll get that out of your way for you.
Please. All right, now once we have our meatballs formed, all we're gonna do is take them and put them right into our oven. Now, I am using a high temperature oven,
So we set the oven at
400 degrees. If you have a convection oven, I also recommend putting it on convection. What we're gonna try to do is get a little bit of a crust on the outside of our meatball. We want some of the natural sugars inside of that chicken to come up to the surface and caramelize just a little bit on the outside.
So Chef, I know that air fryers are pretty popular. Would you be able to make these meatballs in an air fryer?
I would highly recommend that. That'd be great. Air fryers are basically just really high temperature convection ovens. They just have fans in there that spin around and push that heat through. So they are a great way to cook things. I use mine at home almost every day.
Oh, that's great.
All right. So, all right, guys, we are more than halfway through our dish. How's everyone doing? Are we getting close on meatballs? I think so.
Yes, we see some
Great.
great looking meatballs out there.
So guys, we do have one more dish. This is probably the most technical, but you guys are doing a great job. What we're gonna be doing is we're gonna making a sauce for our meatballs. Okay? So this is a very, very simple sauce. We're gonna be using rice wine vinegar, a little bit of honey, some seasoning, but we're gonna be thickening this sauce up. Now, there's lots of different ways to thicken sauces. Very traditionally, we could use flour. But there's some problems with flour. Lots of people have gluten allergies. So today we're going to use a cornstarch to thicken. And this is very traditional for most Asian foods, using a cornstarch to thicken. So we're going to do that today.
That sounds great. You could probably also use like a rice flour or a rice starch too.
Almost any starch would work well.
Okay.
Rice flour works well. Potato starch works well too. But I just really like the consistency of the cornstarch because it's nice and smooth and it adds a little bit of smoothness and velvetiness to our sauce. Right. So if we're ready, we're gonna go on to our next dish. Okay. So everyone should have a small pot at their station. Yeah. All right, I'm going too fast. So for our next dish, we are gonna go with our sauce, but we're gonna let people catch up a little bit.
So let's just talk about some of the flavor profiles in the sauce.
So we have lots of different things in here. We have garlic, we have actually coconut aminos. So coconut aminos are one of my favorite substitutions for soy sauce. A lot of people have soy allergies, it causes problems. So I've switched over to coconut aminos.
Okay.
Almost the exact same flavor profile.
Has
but
soy sauce.
it's actual soy sauce. So today we're using that. You can use soy sauce or coconut aminos. Then we're gonna put a little bit of sriracha in ours too.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
sriracha.
far we've got the salty and then we're gonna add some heat.
Yeah, and a little bit of sweetness. We're gonna add honey. Now, in a very traditional sauce like this, they would probably use corn syrup or something like that, but since we are the College of Health Solutions, we're trying to avoid some of that corn syrup. So we switched over to honey. You could also use agave in it. That would be a fun little Southwestern kick to it. But we're trying to get that sweet, that salty, and that spice.
I love that trifecta of flavors. I know that for salty, you can use, like you said, soy sauce, coconut aminos. I've seen the Bragg's aminos, maybe even a little bit of fish sauce. You can do salty, give it that extra bit of umami. And so for our sweeteners, I love the idea of adding honey because it also gives it that kind of extra special little flavor. But like you said, agave is great. Even I'd say in a pinch, a little bit of sugar or simple syrup would probably work.
It would all work. It would all work just fine.
All right.
Okay, guys, I think we're mostly caught up. We ready to make our sauce?
Yes.
Hopefully you guys at home are ready to make the sauce too. So this one's gonna be pretty easy. We're gonna start with our pot. The first thing we're gonna add is our rice wine vinegar.
All right, so let's just go over the amounts here. We have a 1/4 cup of rice wine vinegar. Now, if you don't have rice wine vinegar, what are other options or
So
substitutes?
we would want kind of a mild vinegar, so we wouldn't want something really strong like a balsamic vinegar or a
Okay.
sherry vinegar.
Or even a white distilled
Yeah,
vinegar
that
would be
pretty
dark.
strong. But we could maybe substitute an apple cider
Okay.
vinegar, that would work too. A champagne vinegar would be great. But more of a mild flavor, because if we do too bold, it's just gonna overwhelm everything.
I see. So then that's the 4th flavor profile in our sauce, right? So we talked about the salt, the heat, the sugar, and this is kind of that tang, right? That sour flavor in there.
So I believe when I cook, every dish has those flavor profiles. And the difficult thing is getting them all in balance. If you have too much acid, you need a little bit of salt to bring that down. If you have too much fat in your dish, you need that acid to bring that like fattiness down.
Yes.
So it's just a combination of all three things, and how they work together. And then we add a little bit of heat on top of that. It just makes a total and complete sauce.
So we started with a 1/4 cup of rice wine vinegar and a 1/4 cup of honey.
Then we have
We have,
our coconut aminos.
I say we have 1 teaspoon of coconut aminos or soy sauce. And 1 teaspoon of sriracha. Now, if you're spice averse, you can probably leave it out, or if you really want that heat, you can go for it, right?
Of course.
And do you think chili paste would also work here?
So it would work. So the thing I like about the sriracha, it has a little bit of a sweetness to it that helps pair with it, but straight chili paste would be great. You
Okay.
could even throw a few chilies in there too.
Oh, that's great.
Last, a little bit of our garlic.
So we have here about a teaspoon,
So it's about 2 cloves of.
about 2 cloves of garlic. Okay, that looks great.
Once everything's in there, we do need to start heating it up.
And then when do we add the cornstarch?
So it's gonna be at the very, very last
Okay.
thing. So I'm bringing my sauce back over to the stove.
All right, so then we put all those ingredients on the stove and we just heat it up.
Yep. So I'm gonna go on a medium heat. We don't want to burn anything. There is lots of sugar in here from the honey, so we definitely don't want to burn anything. But I do want to bring this up to temperature.
And it just helps all of those flavors to just kind of meld together, mix together. And I love that kind of caramel color too. So pretty.
So the last thing we have to do is, guys, we have to make our slurry. We're gonna take a 1/4 cup of water and then add cornstarch to it.
All right, so I see here we're still adding our sauce ingredients. Great job, everybody. And so let's talk a little bit about measuring cups, right? So there's a difference between a measuring cup for dry ingredients or a measuring cup for
Yes.
wet ingredients.
Of course, yes. So this would be a great example of a wet measuring cup. It's great for measuring liquids, but not great for measuring solids. For solids, we need one of those traditional measuring cups. But the exact opposite way, you don't want to measure liquids in a solid measuring cup because they'll always kind of mound on the top and get way more than you actually need.
So, and we want to make sure that we get that cornstarch distributed in there, right?
Yes.
So this part is actually pretty important, right?
Yeah.
Whisking it or taking a fork and making sure that there aren't any lumps in your sauce.
Yes, because no one wants cornstarch dumplings.
So if you have a whisk, this is where you use your whisk in your measuring cup.
Whisk that all together. Now,
Okay,
great guys. Now, here's the key to cornstarch mixtures. We can add them at any point, but they don't actually thicken until our sauce comes up to a boil.
oh, so temperature becomes really
Yes.
important.
So we don't have to be exactly 220 degrees, but I need to see a rolling boil from your sauce. So you should have a whisk at your station. We're gonna come over And we're just starting to boil.
So we just slowly, or do we just dump it in or do you slowly drizzle it in?
So I'm just gonna slowly pour it in. Just mean, would you like to help me?
Sure, I'll take care of the whisk.
So if I dump it in all at one time, I run the risk of having cornstarch meatballs.
Right,
Dumplings.
it's just get real chunky and not a smooth sauce.
So I'm just gonna slowly pour that in.
So again, this is a great opportunity to have extra hands in the kitchen so that we can make sure we get that sauce nice and thickened. I can see the color is changing a little bit too. Oh, and I can see it starting to thicken. Oh, that looks great.
Very nice.
Okay. So we just kind of keep stirring the sauce.
Just keep stirring and just keep stirring. You will start to see it gets a little bit thicker and really becomes a sauce consistency. All right, that looks absolutely
Oh,
incredible.
it can, and I think one of the ways you can test it, isn't it by like doing a spoon test?
So we call that nappe. It should coat the back of a spoon. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but my sauce should coat that spoon.
Look at that. That's a perfect texture, consistency. I can smell the vinegar and the chili, the sriracha. Smells so good.
All right. So once that's cooked, I'm just gonna turn that down to low too. And we have a few more things to do. So last thing, guys, we have to cut some food up. The great idea about this dish is there's gonna be lots and lots of fresh vegetables in there. Okay? So you have two things you're gonna have to cut up. We have a Napa cabbage and we have some green onions. Now before.
Let's just talk a little bit about Napa cabbage, because that's kind of a specialty ingredient, right?
Yes, so it is a very Asian type cabbage, but luckily enough in America, you can get it in almost any grocery store. Fry's, Safeway, Albertsons, they usually have it, and it's also very, very affordable too. If you're not super familiar with Napa cabbage, I bet most of us heard of kimchi,
Yeah.
which is the fermented version of it. So it's a fairly common item that we'll see in lots of dishes in America. We just don't always think about it as a staple of our time.
And it's so nutritious too. It's a cruciferous vegetable. It has fiber in there. It has potassium and some B vitamins, has vitamin C in there. But are there substitutes if
Yes.
Napa cabbage isn't available?
So almost any type of cabbage would be great. You could use bok choy, you could use like red cabbage or purple cabbage, even green cabbage, like a coleslaw mix would be great too. We're just trying to look for kind of that crunch, that flavor that go with our rice bowl. I think those would all be great.
That sounds great.
All right, guys, now, before we start cutting stuff up, we have to talk a little bit about knife safety. So I don't want anyone getting injured in our class. So we're gonna be holding our knives in a very specific manner. I hold my knife in a pinch grip. If you can see, I'm actually holding the blade of the knife and I pinch it between my middle knuckle and my thumb. So I hold the blade of the knife just like that. Now, that's gonna give me much more control over my knife than I would just kind of gripping this handle and chopping things up like. So we definitely are gonna use our pinch grip.
I think I should stand over here while you're wielding the knife.
Now, when we cut stuff, we're using chef knives, so we're gonna do kind of a rocky motion. I'm not chopping things, I'm not hacking away a cabbage, I'm just making smooth rocking motions with my hand.
So how thick do you cut the cabbage?
So I want to shred this cabbage as thin as I possibly
Okay.
can.
Isn't there a term for that? Is it like a julienne?
Like a
A
chiffonade.
chiffonade? Okay, we want to get real technical with our culinary terms.
So now, since we're gonna be cutting this very, very small, we have to be careful with our other hand. Now, our offhand, I do what I like to call a monkey claw. I pull my fingertips in and I pull my thumb in and I hold my finger in a hands in a monkey claw. Now, guys, watch this. If I do this properly with my pinch grip and my monkey claw, it is impossible for me to cut myself. Okay, I use my knuckles as a guide. I rock my knife on my cutting board, and I can very easily and safely cut things. Okay, but we're not hacking away like that. We're just slicing this man.
So let's go nice and slow so everyone can see how we actually do this.
So I keep my fingertips back, I pull my thumb back, I kind of cock my elbow out to the side, and I do a thin, tiny shred. I'm using my knuckles as a guide for my knife, making sure I keep my thumb back and my fingertips back. I'm not trying to go quickly or fast.
Now, can I show everyone at home what this looks like? And you can see these finely shredded kind of strands of cabbage. That looks beautiful.
I'm gonna keep going. I want everyone to just go nice and slow, shredding your cabbage down. Make sure you keep those fingertips back.
So we were talking about some time-saving tips, right? We talked about maybe using parboiled rice or instant rice. In a situation like this, would you be able to use, let's say, the bagged shredded cabbage?
That's a great question to me. We actually are doing that today. In our dish, we are using shredded carrots, and just as a time saver, I just bought shredded carrots. That's totally acceptable. Buying things like that are still healthy.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with shredded carrots. They're a great addition to our diet, but it just saves me so much time that I think it's well worth it.
I've also seen sometimes you can get bagged shredded other vegetables like broccoli slaw. So that could be an option too.
And one of the more difficult things like butternut squash is so difficult to cut up, but you can just buy it cubed up already and it makes your life much, much easier. So we have our cabbage. It looks beautiful. Next thing, we're going to do the exact same thing with our green onions. Now, the tip I like to do for green onions is I leave that rubber band on the bottom. That way it holds it together. I just pull that rubber band down a little bit until it's just around the roots, and all those are nice and together and they don't go flying around all over my. I'm gonna do the same thing. I use my pinch grip. I use my monkey claw, and I'm just gonna shred and slice these green onions the exact same way.
And the green onions are so much milder than regular onions, aren't they?
Yeah, of course.
And they have a lot of nice color. And again, when we look at that color, we know that it has great nutrition as well. So it has some antioxidants in there, another good source of vitamin C and potassium. So it's a great way to just kind of increase our veg.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but at our house, we like to play a little game with our dinner. We like to see how many different colors we can get onto one plate. Typically, the more colors you get, the healthier the dish is. So just like tonight, at our house, we had those purple Peruvian potatoes, just to have something different. And my boys love them both. And it's just a great way to get a little fun, healthy eating game.
So we have options with our vegetables too, right? I mean, we're not just limited to cabbage and green onions.
Absolutely not.
If you have bell peppers, red bell peppers, you could probably slice those very thinly.
Beautiful, incredible in this dish. If you wanted to saute them and heat them up, that would be totally acceptable too. The great thing about cooking for yourself is you get to pick the things that you like best to go in the dish. So if, hey, you guys love tons and tons of garlic in your food, feel free, add as much garlic as you want. If you don't like green onions, then don't put green onions in there. If you rather have jicama or red bell peppers or anything, just feel free to add those.
So that sounds great. Sometimes I know in my house, when we have broccoli or cauliflower, we've got those stems that are left over. This would be a great application
Great
for
way to
that.
mix them up. Instead of throwing in the trash, you get some excellent nutrients from them. You get a lot of fiber from those. It's really no downside.
And we go for all the colors on the plate. I just love it. It looks great.
All right, guys, so my rice is looking beautiful. My sauce is done. Let me see how our meatballs are doing.
Your green onions?
Oh, yes. Meatballs are starting to look
Oh.
great. Definitely smell those. Now, what I like to do is I like to toss my meatballs into my sauce. So I'm just gonna come over here and slowly and carefully. This pan is gonna be very, very hot coming out of the oven.
Oven mitts, they're looking. We'll give a count.
So I'm just carefully putting my meatballs into my sauce. And just give those a quick stir. We can let these meatballs sit in there just for a few minutes.
All right, I just had to give a quick little helping hand to some of our volunteers. By the way, it smells amazing in here. Wow, those ovens are opening up. The chicken smells so good. The sauce, the tanginess of that sauce. I can smell the coconut in the rice. I'm so excited for this meal.
All right, Smitty, you ready to help me plate?
I am ready, Chef.
Let's go ahead. We're gonna start with our rice as our base. So we have our beautiful coconut rice.
And you're just
Nice
fluffing it up a
fluffy.
little
Let's
bit.
give it a little bit of a stir. Gonna land that into our bowl or our
That's
plate.
great.
I'm gonna take just a few of our meatballs.
Chef, should I cut a lime up?
I think, well, we'll do that. Squeeze a little bit of lime right at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, feel free, please.
Great.
I'm adding 3 of my meatballs to the dish with a little bit of that sauce.
Oh my gosh, that looks heavenly.
Now we're gonna top. A little bit of our cabbage.
So we go in with the cabbage, we garnish with some of the green onions.
We have some shredded carrots for a little bit more color. A little bit of toasted coconut.
Oh, wow, look at that.
That's a great fromage.
The rice is almost done. I think it is done, yeah. The rice is
You have the
done.
lid off now.
Yes, we have the lid on.
Okay, you can go ahead and, I'm just having. That's fine.
That's okay. So, I mean, we added the cabbage and the carrots and the green onions, but I mean, I guess you could also toss it together and then put it on top. But it's nice to have it separate in case there's somebody who doesn't like onions, doesn't like carrots. So if you have a lot of options, then they can make the dish however they want it.
Works, they can build their own bowl.
Yeah.
However they like.
That sounds great.
So that's a pretty happy dinner to me. I'm very happy with it.
Ooh, that looks so good. I can't wait to dig in.
See in our camera. We have lots of colors. Lots of protein, lots of good carbohydrates, and lots of healthy vegetables.
Well, I think this is a good time to maybe walk around and see how our volunteer chefs are doing with their food. I can see they're starting to plate. And oh my gosh, it smells amazing in here. You guys are doing a great job.
Looks nice.
Well, Chef, thank you so much for this. This was wonderful.
Appreciate your time and well.
Yes, thank you both so much for taking the time to lead this cooking demo. Once again, thank you to Chef Kent and Professor Sameen Levinson. I appreciate both of you, as well as I know our other faculty and staff are busy helping those in person, but I want to say thank you to those who have attended online. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us. Hopefully you were able to follow along. We are recording this cooking demo, so if you want the recording, we will share that with you shortly. So thank you for joining. If you are able to join us at Sparky's Touchdown Tailgate on October 25th, this Saturday, we would love to have you there. It's from 2:30 to 4:30 p.m. and it's a family-friendly event. Thank you.